Wedge to Red leader Caroline J. Influence.
Thanks.
David Leese.
How do you do? Hello.
The other thing is I want to get that music stopped. Is this an outside line? Could you stop the music on the time or we're doing some interviews on the factory? Okay, thanks. Are you going to chat here or?
You want to do chat here?
Yeah, whichever you like.
Well, start off here. And
Yeah.
Then...
I don't know whether it will be necessary for you to walk round at all, but if it is, then we can set it up for you when you get ready.
You alright?
Yes, I'm alright, don't worry. I won't bother you, will I, if I sit here? I'll keep smiling at you.
We're just interested really to hear about what your job is, what it entails.
Well, I'm what they term development manager in the potting department, which entails the potting department is really split into two. That's the basic pot making part, and figure making and ornamenting part, you know. And one section, the planeware making is under one manager, and the bas relief is under another manager. Well, my time is spent between one department and another, just according to what development there is. See, like say today, I've been doing a job down the bone making shop. This afternoon I'm doing a set of toilet furniture for what is it? Samples for Artistic Brass Company, Los Angeles, which is lavvy presses and V-Day pushers and all that type of thing decorated, because their representative will be over here on September the 9th to go through the setup and probably place about 15,000 pieces of orders. See?
Gosh, yeah.
These are this type of thing. Sorry. Latest year.
Never seen one of those before.
That's a tap, see? That's a little knob. That's a disc. And this is for the mixing part in the middle of the back, you know.
So you have to supervise all of that being done?
Well, what happens is the inquiry comes to the firm, you know, and he goes to the sales inquiry meeting, and then from there, if they require samples, it comes to me, see, and then I'll start working on drawing the articles out, and then we produce the first samples.
Do you get asked for things that you've never done before? Articles that have never been produced here before?
They're probably get a different type of article from say 200 years ago, but doing the same function. But it's 1980. Different artist impression. But and the other half of my job is keeping pace with the modern techniques of making, you know, like rolling machines, where they make big bowls and pressing, hydraulic pressing, things like that. And the latest evolution for the 80s is the dust press. Where they're putting the girders up outside on the corner, and the spray drying units come from Germany, and by middle of September that should be all rigged up. So we've come from hand making to semi-automatic, from really hand pressing 200 years ago to hand making on an ordinary machine, to semi-automatic making, from roller making to dust pressing. Now when I was 14 and started work, it was hand making. When I came out of the forces, the semi-automatic machine was invented in 1945, so we went from that to that. And then this last 20 years we've gone to roller making, and probably before I retire, we shall see the advent of all our plates being dust pressed. So
would that be part of your area at all? The dust pressing.
Probably will be.
Yeah.
Probably give it somebody young. Yeah. That's what I normally do every day. Pick forks off the oven, you know, rasp forks. I've just done, this last 2 years, I've just done, we've redesigned our kiln furniture for the China biscuit ovens to make us more efficient energy-wise by creating new shapes. And consequently now we are, well, I've done about 2 years, I'm about nearly 2 years in front of it's outside where they built a new building to dust press kiln furniture, which normally we buy from Diamond Clay Company, Acme Marls, Hewitt's. But we've decided 2 years ago that we'd make our own with having a China group like Coalport from China. It's mainly for China, see.
What exactly is kiln furniture?
I'll have to show you.
Can we go?
Yeah.
I mean, is it the things, we could go in a minute, is it the
It's
things
like,
that...
I'm
got the
I'm working on dishes now. It's
is it what they actually sit in or stack?
yeah, that's what they stack on it.
Yes.
On the trucks there, see?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. Each one, each plate for sauce. Christopher Johnson, he decided that we'd have a go at making our own. Now over there we've got 3 presses. They're making Y cranks and T cranks to fire on the gloss oven. Okay, obviously, when you dip the plate, you fire it on a crank with a little pin on the foot. Seen it?
Yes, I've
Yeah.
seen it. Yes.
And we've got dies over there now for 10-inch plates, 8-inch plates, and several items. We made And while we've been doing it, well, we've we have one setter for one article. What we've been trying to do is to say, well, we'll make three, to become more efficient, is to get 3 items off one setter. Like I'm doing now, I'm trying to get plain dishes, Windsor dishes, contour dishes off the same setter. Well, normally now we make 3 for that. You know what I mean? So we're cutting our tackle down to try and slimming the setters and reducing them to try and save energy at the same time. And with the setters, we've on some cases we've reduced the weight by a third. You know, so the payload, as they call it, these fire. If you talk to the people like Bob Carrs are in charge of them, it's how much clayware versus how much refractory or kiln furniture you fire, and you find in the China industry on the plates, like we have flat ovens, that's plates, we call them flat, and the hollowware oven, that's teacups, cream soups, teapot sugars, creams, dinnerware. There's a chap from, I mean, you with this bloke, he's come a long way this evening.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I'm quite interested in pursuing that.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure how much of a secret it is.
Yeah, he was very careful about how he talked about it. Yeah.
From our point of view, I'm not sure how it's gone.
Want to know that?
Well, can you tell us anything about that, whatever that specific problem was that you were dealing with there, for example? That was.
Well, what? That chappie comes from Tuscan China, and that potter he's been making there, he's got a fork with it, and it's made on what they call a Dose machine, which is a German rolling machine. Now we had 3. I put 1 in here, then we put 2 in. What we do, we buy a machine, and we take articles from one section to put on it to increase productivity, and in a lot of cases increase our yield, if you know what I mean. In other words, how many we pack out of every 100 we make. And in a lot of cases, especially on pressing, we have improved our oven results because we sticking to the doors. We had 3, and I kept taking articles from one department to another and transferring them over, reducing the making prices, if you know what I mean, and which increases the profitability of the company, and loading them up. Our orders at that time were outstripping the process of hand making, you know what I mean? It was impossible without buying a big machine to keep pace with our orders 3 years ago for big types of work. And consequently, that's how these German rolling machines were bought. And we had 3, and then 1 was transferred to Alexander Pottery, and then they had 1 at Tusca. That's where this chappie comes from. And he just said to me, when my tool comes out it jerks, and he said, what do you think it is? And it's probably the air valve stick, see. So it comes down and makes, and then the air releases and it goes back up again, see. And if it sticks, it doesn't get a quick release. It does a stepping motion and then come away, see. that's why he's got a fault at this factory. Could we help them out by probably a little bit better know how, because we've been at it a little bit longer than they have. You see. But on the presses, we were having we changed a lot of articles from casting to pressing, and we did it in a short period of time. We had one for a year, and we worked at it, you know, and articles that were cast through the feet, that is cast like, they're made that way up like that, and you cast them through the feet here. We were having a lot of trouble in the biscuit warehouse with faults, but that type of article, you can't see it with your naked eye, but when you pour the slip in, it runs round, and then somewhere on that pot, the slip rolls over the top again, you know what I mean? And there's a part of a second where there's a skin, and then the slip rolls over, and you get a fine air trap. You can't see it, but when you fire it in the biscuit oven, the air expands, see, so you get a bubble. And we transferred all our articles from filling through the feet onto these new hydraulic presses, and had marvellous results. Well, productivity-wise, better products, I would say, because we were making with plastic clay instead of casting slip. You know, a plastic clay versus a casting slip, and I would say the biggest gain one of the biggest gains was the China biscuit firing, where if we press an article and give it an almighty thump of 1,000 pounds a square inch, you know, the piece of clay, it stays rigid, where you don't need any kiln furniture to hold it in shape. I'll show you when we go around the difference up there, where we just slide them on a back and they don't collapse or anything like that. Well, normally, if we were firing them cast, these one or two of these articles, we would have to have kiln furniture to support them while they're being fired, see? That's the idea of the furniture, is to support them while they're being fired up to 1240 or 50 degrees centigrade.
With the ones that are being pressed now, can you stack them one on top of the other, or do you have
In the clay state of biscuit?
In the clay state?
No, we usually stick to a standard of say 1 or 2 or 3 pots high, one inside the other, according to the weight. See, if you make a pot, you make the pot. If you make the pot in earthenware and china, you get a different characteristic in the clay state. Now, the strongest time with an earthenware pot is just before it's dry. Now, the weakest part in a china pot is just before it's dry. You get what I mean? It's in reverse. The strongest part of a china pot is when it's dry. The weakest part of an earthenware pot is when it's dry. They're stronger in the reverse. See, so like you see in the departments, boards full of wear, and you've learned my experience. You only put them one eye, or according to the weight of the pots, or you put them 2 eye, or you can put some 3 eye. Now, if you go around on in the flat making department, you'll see plates 6 eye, 7 eye. And if you go down in the earthenware placing area, where they place their flat, you can see them placing them 18 eye. So, but if you go around the china, you see a chappie putting one plate in a setter, so when you come to the payload of the china, of kiln furniture, pro-rata to clay, it's probably 75% furniture, 25% of articles. what I mean? So you could theoretically say, well, I've got a truck full here of China plates around there, 10-inch China plates, and it's 8 stacks of 22 of them, or say for 20, Grease erecting 24. That's like 16 dozens. Now, if that was here, you could put that times 5 or times 6 in the same cubic area, and that is alters the costing such a lot. Like when we do a costing here, I've just done one this morning on thin balls, and for Franklin Mint Company, an American company. The cubic capacity for them is only very small. This type of thing, you know. Like that, see. On the China. Now, if you get on a if you go on to soup terrines, where the costing chappie, you measure that up. Its cubic capacity on that truck, and how much it takes to fire that truck through there. The firing costs for that is probably equal to say 8 plates. That's why, but it's totally different when you go on the earthenware in China, when you get on the flatbed. But we have modernised our olive-ware oven, and we've really done a kiln furniture exercise for the flat oven, and we're in the process now of buying presses and changing over. Now, what do we want to do now? Do you want to go on to how we start an old-fashioned piece? A 1780 piece?
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes, smashing, yeah.
Well, normally we make so much prestige ware every week, you know what I mean? And normally what happens is the sales inquiry, there's a panel of management somewhere in the sales department to decide, well, we could get a few orders for this, or we could get a few orders for that, you know what I mean? Consequently, it finds its way down here again, you know what I mean? Like the modeller's going to do this job now this year. This is Trafalgar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Top for Britannia for,
That's it,
that's right. It was done for, to commemorate the Battle of Trafalgar. I think it is.
Take your word on that.
And we did a lot of research into that. The Admiral of the Fleet at the time of Trafalgar, I think my history's right, was a chap named Admiral lived at Stone, St Vincent, is that right?
Could have been the
Yeah.
other same thing.
And on this pot,
Yeah.
a barrel, which was done in the days then, 17 something. And just trying to think how St Vincent. But when this pot was originally done, how St Vincent, forgotten. There's 4 admirals on it. But the modelling department, we found all the bits and pieces, and the modelling department are going to produce one this year for this. It'll be 1980. But normally, when we going back to the Prestige, it usually finds its way down here, and I'll have a go at drawing it out. You know, for photograph. It's usually out of one of the books that's written by somebody about the Stanway, and then we blow it up and have a go. And if it's fluted on the fluting machine, we get the fits right, and like this plate here. This is original of the like that one, that plate. It was the start of the this present series and the series before, wasn't it? That one.
The Masterpiece series.
Yeah.
That's Albert Williams.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would be the ornament.
Yeah.
So my part to that is, I decide the basic shape, the fits for here, fits for there, these, how we make the basic pot, the slip we blow on, the tools, the shapes for here, shapes for that. Everything except the ornamenting. Right. And we go through the ornamenting and count how many of them we've got to put on and make them fit. You get what I mean? And that's what I normally do when we get a Prestige article, which I haven't got anything on now. The last job I did, we went to Nottingham Castle to see a paint box. Templeman figures. And I think that's on the list this year for selling, you know, on this Masterpiece series. And I've drawn one pot out for one for a dimple vase with muses and things like that. But, I think this is the one for this time. I was just looking in the book. Now usually out of this type of a book, see, that's a paint box. These are the articles that we've done over the last 10 years, I would say. Start at the beginning. These are the ones for the future. Wine and water vases. Right? Either this year or next year. The modeller is modelling the tops now. We found most of the parts. There's I think there's one arm of one missing, and there's dolphin head part on another one missing. These were made this last few years. This one we're on now, snake handle vase. They're making a few for this.
We
this
saw
year.
one,
Yeah, we saw
didn't
one
we?
yesterday,
Albert
yes.
Williams showed us one that he had down that he was ornamenting.
Well, I did the basic pot, see, throwing first. Took it off throwing, put it under casting, which is what it is now, see.
So that would be cast now, would it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be thrown.
Why is
These-
it not thrown?
Don't know. These are what they call dimple vases, by this dimpling in there, see it? Now, that'll be in the mould, but you can do that by machine, see, with a wheel that's got a wheel like a runner bead wheel. You put it in, and it's got spikes on it. So as it revolves, the spikes give it the effect like a match striker, like sandpaper. You know, like you go to the decorating place and you're rubbing the door down and you buy the very, very rough sandpaper. It's all dimpled, isn't it? That gives you the effect. We've done these this year. We're doing it. Have you seen the coffee pot I did for Gerard in London?
No, don't think we have.
Templeman set of coffee pot, sugar and cream. That one. We're doing that one this year. But we haven't got much more on the go, see. We've done a few chess sets, couple of Flaxman chess sets this time. And the one making's cost £1,000. Making little notes, you know what I mean? To make these few sets. That was plus finding them and remodelling them up and likes of that.
And how long do they last, the moulds?
Well, it's just according, see. Mould life is very, how can I say? If you were flat pressing an article, that's plate making an article, you could get 50, 60, 70 fillings, according to the embossment that's on the plate, or according to how much embossment you require, or the quality you're going to sell it at. You know what I mean? So you've seen do you know the patrician factory? Are they embossed earthenware pan? No.
No.
Well, if you make plain plates, if you were making plain plates at Wedgwood quality, you'd probably get 60, 70 fillings. If you were making embossed plates like Edmund, Patrician, Wellesley, you'd probably get 50 fillings. See? Now, if you go down the scale and you go into casting, in the casting department, it averages around 30, 32, 34, you know what I mean? The reason being higher contraction, so you get more abrasion on the face, so you wear the faces away faster. Then if you go on to say prestige wear, things like that, like the Flaxman chess set, which is every mould is produced off a clay article. So in other words, you make an article off your mould, off the block moulds. You touch it up, put all the fine face work in and what have you, because you think you can get off a plastic, and you make one off that. And that goes down the casting shelf, and then the potter makes his chess set off that, and then he tools in a little bit more to give you that extra quality. But the range goes, then if you said, well, you were turning an article on a machine and things like that, you can get 200 fillings because you're not bothered about what's on the outside, because you're going to turn all that rough part away and leave yourself with the smooth part. So the modern rolling machine's quite good on plate making. The mold life's quite good, 70, 80 fillings. But I've just done an exercise down the mold because on this, what they call, the BCRA call the permeability of molds, which is the when you have a modern rolling machine and you put you make molds to fit it works by vacuum, see. The minute you put the mould in the head and the machine's in motion and it turns to the next cycle, vacuum sucks that head on, mould on, plus the piece of clay you popped on top, see. So the word permeability means is pulling the vacuum from the face to the back of the mould, like that, like the face side to the back,
Yeah.
where the piece of clay is on the top. The permeability is, they've got a set number of figures. How you work it out is that the machine, you go from 15 inches of vacuum down to 11 through a pipe, and you clock it by seconds, see. Now how it works is, the longer the time, you know, I'm not a boffin, I know all about these things because I make it my business to know all about these things, but I read how they do it, and then I do it my little way, which usually is twice as really quick as them. Get what I mean? And I always, when I was down there, I just spent 5 weeks down there curing this, to try and cure this problem. And they're on about a low permeability mould. It's a well-known thing. Every factory suffers with this. It's face stretching and things like that. And all it is that when you pour plaster on to case, you get a spot where this first poured, you know what I mean? And it's a soluble source skin. And this skin, if you do the permeability test like they say in the book, in the middle, you get a set of figures. But if you move from one side, from this spot, you get a different set of figures. I'll prove this, see. So all as I've done this last 5 weeks is attack this system of getting rid of this spot. And we've started yesterday and today to dry all the flat moulds upside down, face down, with plastic, and we're drying them through the back, completely drying them through the back. And this spot is disappears. So instead of drying it through the face and keeping the spot there, we've reversed our drying round and dried it through the back. And what happens with China making, see, the savings there for the company is that a mould comes up from the mould chamber where they store them, they call it a mould chamber. We make them invariably for 2 or 3 fillings they crack, because the vacuum that's up, the permeability of the mould is so poor because of this skin. Your piece of clay is on the skin and your vacuum doesn't suck it too, so you get a skid mark. You know, it doesn't stay put while it's in the make. And that's what I've been doing this last 4 weeks. And now we've got a set of tackle down there to dry our moulds upside down, and we shall be able to oil the moulds, paint them with oil, and make straight away. Well, normally we make 3 or 4 times, which is a very costly business. Very costly business. I'll make a machine holds 30 dozens, that's 360, and you make them 3 times, so you're throwing 1,000 away. And all you're doing is all you're doing is creating a skin on the. All you're doing is creating adhesion. You know what I mean? In other words, so this new system we've got, we're hoping to do away with that. But when you're renting to make 1,000 plates in a potting shop and throw it away, it's quite. They're roughly 2 pounds 8 ounces. So 1,002, which a ton, isn't it? the price of making the price of a ton of china clay at the present time is £240 to £250. So if so what you've got a hidden cost. You know, well, we make a ton of clay and do this ritual. Everybody does it. It's not only you. And you take that clay down and you remix it and bring it up again. So the hidden saving is quite a lot. Getting back to the jasper and that, we haven't got much on now, which probably will have. Hey Mary? Might have a shake for a few new items. Yes. Do you want to have a look at the kiln furniture?
Yes. We've got time.
What they call
Well,
kiln
not
furniture?
really.
Oh, no,
Not
okay.
because Stanway.
No, okay. Well, no, we'll...
It might be when if you do the interview with him, then if you...
Yeah.
Right. Are you going out? I want somewhere to talk to Len Stanway, you see.
Well, we can talk to him out there.
Outside?
Yes, it's fine. We've been doing all the
Yes.
other stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Put that chair
Thank you.
back.
I'll put it back. You're all right.
Sure.
Yes.
Would we need to come back to look at kiln furniture specifically?
Yeah.
I'll give you a call.
Right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks very much. An interview with David Leese.
We'll have to wait until he'll come back here. There's Fred Derrick.
Yes.
Hold on, let me see.
No. All right, thanks, David. All that sort of thing, do you?
Yeah, that's
Would you go in with me, or you never lose quiet until you actually start to sit on the sound? And you'll start to stick to sleep, you know. You can't do this.
Here you come.
It will help if, you know, you can stand in there.
Might as well, I
Right,
suppose.
start off in there, yeah.
We're not in the way.
How do?
Can you finish it, Alfie?
For a few minutes.
Yeah.
We'll move out.
There
The chair's gone, but
You sit there and then
Yeah.
you can...
All right. Point this thing in.
We're just interested to know really what your job entails, exactly what you have to do.
Well, I'm training instructor and supervisor in the China casting department. That's what it is. So I can be anywhere, training anybody, young, old, whatever it may be. If anyone comes up another factory, they go through a training system straight away. Even though they're experienced casters, they go through a training system. And I have to do the work before it goes out.
And what's casting involved?
China casting.
Yeah, China, sorry.
I better think about this. I prefer to show you more than try to
Oh, well,
explain to you.
yeah, can you show us?
Let's go. Now there'll be nobody actually casting at this time, so I'd better try and give you a demonstration of how it's done. Okay? Father Banquet's answer.
pressing yourself?
No, I was all aware of pressure when I first started work. 40 odd years ago. I was all aware of pressure years ago, where I used to make everything by hand. I used to have to bat out our own bats where you've got spreaders now that spread play out. I used to bat them out with a hand batter. And then polish them up, cut them in pieces, and then put them in the mould and work the plate into the mould. All the way around. Put seams on, put rolls in, where you put the two joints together. So, are you interested in that?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got them all here. And you're making it by hand. So you've got the 4 parts there. That's the handles. The handles would be in a mould, and we would roll a piece of plate. We'd have a batter here, a big piece of plastic and a batter. And we would bat it all out by hand. We've got the spread of plate. Polish it up, put it in parts. One part would fit inside there. Then we would sponge it in. Bring your fingers round there. That thing around there, rotate it round there. Tear the spare off. Same with that, tear the spare off. Same with that, tear the spare off. And we do the same with that one. Then we'd roll a piece of plate in a roll, and then we'd put the roll, press it down there, in between that plate, on the plate there. Same again there, on that ball. Then you would put the two halves together. Fasten them up. We would have straps, not wire, leather straps. Then we put it on the whirler, like that. Then we work the water, and work that roll. We work back in until it comes across the top there, as far as you need to go down. Same with that one, as far as you need to go down. Turn it round, same again there, go down. Same again there, shove that roll in until it's quite even with the whole lot, that's with your fingers. Then you put that on one side, you get another piece of plate, you put it on there. That one, take off take the spare off, and you put a roll all the way around there. You put that on the top of there, making sure it's tight. Then you press the roll into that seat there, all the way in. So you've got that. Then you do the same with that. And put a roll all the way around there, all around there. Then you put that on the top. Fine, that's the first one. And then you roll that out on the side there. Put that part up like that, and leave it. When it's gone hard, it'll all come out. It'll all be cast over.
So all that would be done with clay as opposed to slip?
Now all he does as far as slip is concerned, we get the slip in the circuit that comes down through a pump, straight into the jug there, and we'll just stand back with it just in case I spill this. And then we centralise the pot, get it second order, and sort of just snap that. And you can't trick it, and then get your slip. And all that work I've told you is done. You wait for that to cast up to the thickness you want. That, as you go down, you get a knife and just take the spare out, or always on one side like that, so that will go down and give a casting point all around there. You take that part out to see your thickness, the exact thickness, and then you will tip it. Tip it on the stand so far, then stick it in. Leave it for, take the spare off, put the spare off, and leave it for about an hour, take it out, and all the work I've told you I've done by hand has been done in 1 few seconds.
And is the finished product just as good done like that?
Now, yes. We've got that one. Then after you've got that, of course you take that out and you put your handles and your spout, or whatever it is. You put it in the teapot, they go to the spout. There goes a graded in first before you put the spout on. Where they're graded. This is the actual article that will come out of that mould when it's set up, cast up. And we take it out, and we've got this in a leather hardness where we can actually move in it, Then the holes there, the grids there, the spout isn't on, you bore all the holes in, then you grab your spout, that's cast in the same method, tipped after a certain length of time so it'll be hollow in the spout. The handle of course will be cast in until it's solid. And then that's taken out of the mould, cut into shape to fit the article and placed on. The same applies to the cut into shape of the article, the spout, because there's a big board bit like that one, and you take that part on, which makes it hollow all the way through, and you put that on. Seam to seam, and you know it's straight. Look at it right across there, and you find out it's true. That's in the rough stage. After that, there's a man there if you want to catch a seam. He is actually sponging it.
When to take the mould off, take the article out of the mould?
Well, normally speaking, you can get about half an hour of leaving after you finish chip. Say it takes 10 minutes. Yes. Sorry about that. It takes 10 minutes to chip it, cast an article. Then you chip it. Then you can leave it for a half an hour, could be an hour. Then you take the spare off. That's off the side of the mould, the top of the mould. Take that spare off. Then you can leave it for about an hour, depending on the weather, what it is. If the weather's good to us and we dry inside the shops, then we take it out quicker. If it's a bit rainy or damp, anything like that, the atmosphere is a bit muggy, then take a little bit longer. Then we take it out of the mould, say after an hour, then we leave it until we feel by the texture of the clay when we can handle it to go to leather hard before we put the spout on, before we cut the spout, before we cut the handle, then put it on. That is the main important part, is keeping every part of it in condition. If you let the spout go hard and the body is soft, then it stick it together all right, and in the kiln we might be lucky to get it not cracked in clay stage, but when it comes out of the kiln you'll get a fine crack all the way around. So it's essentially you've got to have it in condition, all your three parts to it.
And that's through experience only, that you actually feel the texture?
You do, yes. You can train people up to it, and then of course you have to go around it all the while, feel it yourself. Eventually they get it themselves. It doesn't take all that long, but you give them time, a time, say an hour, do this in an hour, do that in an hour, do this in 10 minutes, something like that, until they get used to it. And then perhaps in about 6 months' time, sometimes 12 months, they can tell themselves. Usually about 6 months. And then of course, some of these blokes that are here, cast only people that just cast, and then somebody else sponges the work, values off, which I'm going to show you now. I can get them piecework in say 6 months. So 6 months good hard training, and with a variation of articles, we can get them piecework in about 6 months. That answer your question? Anything else?
Thank you. It's all right.
Right.
What's more? Oh, that's some more work. Like you see these, this is a fancy really, not a cheap box, but like that. So where the seams are, where the moulders come in pieces, it always leaves the seam mark all the way around like that. So therefore, what he's got to do is take that off with a knife like that first, until he's got that down with a knife. After that, he will sponge it down the lines so you won't see the seam. That's more or less all you really is. So you sponge it after you've taken all the seams off, then you sponge it and make it into a neat job. Taking all the floors off the whole article and swiping it. And that's what we do. Well, that is your main part as far as China cast is concerned, and how to make one.
Is it more difficult casting bone china than anything else?
The earthenware, yes. If you saw me there, I centralise it
Yes.
in the mould and cast it
Yeah.
and spin it. In earthenware, they don't spin it. They just lay them out all on the bench, and then they go with a tap, and they just press it at the top of the tap, and it fills up right the way along, all the way along, every one. Well, we've got to spin it to avoid reeds in it, to clear the air out of it, and also where there's a verge. This is a teapot mould. So he's got to bring the slip up to here. So he's got to spin and allow the slip to spin around like that and go straight up to here. And as he's slowing down, of course the slip is slowing down, but still staying full. Then he pulls it as high as he possibly can. And we hope to get all the air out of it, reeds out of it. If we just cast them standing still, we will get what we call a reed end. It's like a rope that's inside the body. If that is in, then when he comes out the kiln fired, it could double it up and make, it'll either bloat up, like make a big rope, as you can see it, or in some cases it actually doubles the article up, as though you've grabbed all of it like that and you've pressed it in like that, where that reed is. Okay?
Yes.
Anything else?
Are you in charge of the firing process as well?
No, but I could show you more of that if you wanted to. Do you want me to do it for you?
Yes.
Well, I might as well stay till dinner time.
What's he doing?
Go to the firing floor. When it's sponge off, it comes up to your own touch, as you can see there. Big spot. Various different methods to do straight. Cover. You can't put a cover onto the coffee pot without putting alumina dust in between. If we didn't put the alumina dust in between, the whole thing would fuse and use the kiln, so it'd stick to it. You'd have to knock it, and most probably if you knocked it, you'd break it anyway. So there's got to be a skimping of alumina dust right where the cover goes, and that keeps it as it farts away when it gets to the kiln. From there, various different methods of firing. That particular one, just a little bit of alumina to stop the bottom part of it sinking, because in actual fact this body goes soft when it's certain temperature in the kiln. So therefore
This
it
is
can
China
collapse.
clay.
That's right. So it can collapse or it can move. It can go down. So therefore with that one, it's straightforward, do straight side. We just put a little bit of alumina on there and put the pot onto it. Of course it would be that side, but then would be taken out to that side. Now that teapot, the shape of it is an ideal shape for firing, so it can go in by itself, apart from putting the other on. Now this is a boat, a fixed boat. Now we've got to keep the standard of this boat perfectly true. So we've got a container here, that's actually the same shape as the stand when it's fired. But when it contracts, and it contracts approximately 1/8 in contraction. So it's pretty small. Well, we can see on his finger. Now that is made for the contraction and firing. This setter is. So the pot is put on the setter, and with it being a fixed one, there's a stand on it. It's already fixed on the stand. So we put this ring on it. That ring, when fired, that goes soft, and the ring comes down with it and holds it to the setter. But when it comes out, it's perfect true. When an oval one, same as this part here, that it's got aluminum on it again, and we paint the aluminum on. Sometimes we used to do the same by putting it on with a sieve. Then that is the same shape as that part, or near enough. As long as that part goes in, that's a former to hold that into shape, would it be an oval.
Would it fall in otherwise?
All right, John, carry on. No, it's already made, it won't fall in, but the whole thing will contract, and that'll just go down just that line there, and it keeps the oval in perfect oval. On? Up.
Sorry, I just thought they might be interested to know that this shape that you said is the ideal shape for firing is known as the 146 shape, and is in fact one of Josiah Wedgwood's original shapes.
That's right. The 146, you'll find that in Jasper, all things like that. Is one of the, well, it's been back long before my time. I think it's
Couple of years.
A couple of years, yes. And this one here is a globe, and that's been going for a hell of a long while, the globe shape. And could be in Josiah's time and all. But this one's got a foot to it. I don't think they'll mind me taking it off. That's got a foot. So you've got to support that. If we didn't, that'd go like this, or squat in firing with the height of the fire, the heat of the oven. So it goes in a container, making sure the foot's in straight, and then the alumina is round. And that's all. That's just a support to hold that side, because you won't do this down the other. Then put on the kill again. Anything else? Have a look around. We've got a candlestick there that we're getting out quite good. But we have to have a container to hold that. It goes in another container, and aluminum shoved into it and comes straight to the top of the nozzle, so as it won't twist like that, which you could do. Leave the aluminum out, it'll twist.
Are the containers what you call kiln furniture?
It's, yes. Yes, they do sagamore. You might well call it old-fashioned called sagamore. There's other names for it, I suppose there's flashing names for various different grades of sagamore. But in actual fact, boil it all down, it's all sagamore. They used to make sagamore.
Do the pieces change weight when they're fired as well?
Yes, they change weight, but usually from that there, they'll change weight so much. And as soon as it's been dipped in glaze, then fired in the glaze, it comes back to its weight as we put there, approximately. There isn't much in it. So if you say the weight of that, when it has been sold, is at the same weight.
And everything has to be the same weight as each other, do they?
We try. That's
Is it difficult?
That's more difficult than anything, that is. But we try to get it at a standard size, standard thickness. We don't always succeed, but we're very, very close to it. If it's a little bit too heavy, and we say it's too heavy, then it's smashed before it goes in the kiln. The earthenware, of course, is thicker than that, heavier than that, trying a little bit thinner, more delicate. We're trying to get more delicate stuff being made now, such that shell, as you just saw there, that was very thin. And they're trying to get it as you can practically look through it, with being very thick, especially on them shells. Any more?
Can't think of anything, no, that's smashing. No. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks very much
Thank
indeed.
you.
Thanks very much indeed.
You can
Thank
always
you.
come back Monday if we
Yes,
All right.
think of
I think
anything
of something,
else.
I'll write it down and rush back.
Thanks ever so much,
Okay.
Len.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
That was Len Stanway.
He's a caster.
Caster.
Sorry, that was my fault. I probably should have known it
Well, it doesn't really matter.
I was worried about his dinner hour.
They overlap a bit.
Yes.
start with it. If you find it's necessary, we could always perhaps set up for Bob Kyle.
Yeah, what?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Howard first from our department.
I didn't.
don't know your name.
Phil Greene.
Oh, I'm Mary Moorcroft. We'll know now. So Howard will sort of just stand by and you do the talking and tell them all about firing. It might be necessary to go and look at the tunnel kilns as well, but you know, I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
Let's see
Thanks
you
very
later.
much, Mary.
Right, okay, thanks.
We can only spare you about 10 or 15 minutes if that's okay.
That's okay,
Yeah,
that's fine, yes. You can just tell us about the process, I mean, from the beginning.
Well, there's various types of firing. This is the jasper ware, which is the pale blue, the dark blue,
Yeah.
the green, etc. This is the jasper ware is only once fired. It's not like normal china, which is glazed and fired again. We fire this to 1170 to 1180, depending on the kiln, depending on the fill of the trucks, and this is fired for 20 hours. I don't know much else I can tell you about this. These particular kilns, I don't know if you want to know anything about the kilns or just the firing. These are what we call intermittent kilns. They're sapphire lined, in other words, it's like cotton wool fibre, you see. It's a low thermal mass fibre, which it's only been introduced in the last 2 or 3 years, and it helps to give better thermal properties. You don't use as much gas, as much air in the firing, and it's supposed to cut down the firing considerably, 25% or something, the cost of the firing, that is. So this has been introduced, like I say, the last 2 or 3 years, and we're starting to use this on all the kilns now. These are relatively new kilns, these two, a couple of years old.
And these kilns, is it right that the ware goes in and then the doors are shut and it's fired and then you wait till it's cooled down before you open them again, as
Yes.
opposed to the tunnel kiln?
That's right. This particular firing here is on about a 36-hour change round. That's from going in to coming out, which includes your firing, your cooling and the changing round itself. Whereas the tunnel kiln is one in and one out continuously. There again with the tunnel kilns, although it's continuous, the speed varies according to the amount of wear you've got. So you could be pushing a truck once every 30 minutes or once every 2 hours. So there again, you know, the amount of wear that goes through goes according to the speed.
So it's more costly then to manufacture the ware that takes longer to fire?
Oh yes, yes. The more wear we've got, the more orders we've got, then the cheaper it is, obviously. Because although you are using slightly less with the tunnel kiln as you slow down, it doesn't proportion out speed against gas used and money used. So the faster it goes, the cheaper it works out, yes. The intermittents are slightly more expensive to fire than tunnel kilns, but it's more convenient. Whereas with a tunnel kiln, you've got to keep pushing something, however fast it is or however slow it is. Something's got to keep pushed all the time, even through the holidays, through the night. Whereas with these, once you fire them, they're basically automatic, and until they're ready for come out, no one has to touch them, unless things go wrong.
And is the ware always stacked in the same way? I mean, depending on, I know each article has to be stacked in a different way, but do you experiment with different ways of doing it, or is it always...
What we call the fill of the truck, the basic heights always remain the same. But say for example we're putting 100 jugs or 100 cups on one height, we're trying to keep the fill the same every time, because the fill can affect the firing. If for example we put 100 cups on one height one time and only 50 the next time, we're firing more space and we get a not so good fire, you know. The distribution would be all over the place.
And that would then damage the ware, would it?
It probably wouldn't damage it, but you wouldn't get as good a firing as with a consistent fill, which is what we try to do. On some kilns, on the earthenware kilns, we fire the flat, the plates, the cups and the saucers separate from the big holeware, like the the big jugs and the big vases. And the flat has a much longer fire. It's a more dense bell, so it takes more heat, more time to fire it.
Can you show us a tunnel kiln?
I can show you a tunnel kiln, yeah. It's a project or something you're doing?
It's we're doing a documentary play about Josiah Wedgwood, but the actual material that we're trying to get now is doing the job today, talking about the job that they do today, nothing whether it was like what Wedgwood did,
Yeah.
just what the job is like now.
Difficult to try and explain your own job.
Difficult to know what questions you are. Why did you go into that area? Did you choose to, or did it just
Yeah, I
happen?
chose to because one, you've got, it's always interesting, you've got the more technical, I think, than any other department on the factory. Secondly, I don't like a routine job. I don't like a 9 to 5 job where kilns aren't. Because some mornings you can come here at 7 o'clock and work till 8 o'clock at night. The hours vary, you know, it's not routine. That's what I like. And there's something different every day rather than just running a day-to-day department.
Do you come across any problems now that you have to deal with, or is it work?
Always problems, yes.
Give us a few examples.
Well, this first one we're going to look at, all these tunnel kilns are electric. Got large electric elements. You might see one down here, actually. We've got large electric elements all the way down. See this section that sticks out on the kiln here? That's the actual firing zone of the kiln. So the wear starts to go in there. This gradually heats up as it's going along, and then that section there is where the actual firing of the wear takes place. And then it goes into the cooling section that's taken out the other side. But I'd say this kiln was originally electric. It's been like that for 20, 30 years. But the price of electric, how it's gone now, we're experimenting with gas burners, seeing the side. So this is a constant problem now till we get it right, you know. We're trying to match gas with electric plus save money. Trying to get it more efficient than the electric was.
Is it more difficult to regulate it on the gas?
It's more difficult to regulate gas than electric, yes. Because you've got, for example, where you've got an electric element, you've got radiant heat. However many volts you put in decides how much heat you get out. But with a gas, you've got, besides the heat off the flame, you've got unburnt gases which you've got to get rid of out of the kiln, which also put heat into the kiln. So
do you need, for gas, do you need air? Do you need a draft?
yes, it's these type of burners, we just walk down this way. These type of burners are what we call a nozzle mix burner. In other words, this is the air into the burner, this is the gas into the burner, and at the point of where the flame is at the nozzle, that's where they both mix, and that gives you a flame. With firing, you couldn't just use gas. I'll try and explain why. One, from a safety point of view, all gas used is at 0 pressure. Although that sounds a bit contradictory, the gas and the air, when mixed in this burner, it's the air that pulls the gas through. You see what I mean? It creates a vacuum in the burner which pulls the gas through, so the gas doesn't need to be under pressure. It's at 0 pressure. It's not allowed by law now to have gas under pressure for safety reasons. Secondly, gas in a kiln gives a reducing atmosphere in the kiln, which would affect the wear. You would have speckled wear, you would have discoloured wear, So it's got to be a perfect flame, gas and air ratio has got to be perfect. And when that's perfect, that's called stoichiometric. When the gas and the air are a perfect flame, it's stoichiometric.
If you're using electric, you don't have that problem?
You don't have that problem, no. Because electric is just dry, radiant heat. You've got no air. Of course, with gas, so you get water. A gas burner will give approximately 7% water into the kiln. So all that's got to be taken into account.
That affects the wear as well?
That could affect the wear as well, see. The more gas, the more water, which again would cause a reducing atmosphere. So all that's got to be problems all the time.
Do you have any problems with the weight of the pieces? Is that your department at all? I mean, because
No.
do they change weight when they're fired?
Oh, the ware changes weight and size. I can remember my college, where earthenware reduces by about 10 to 12% in size through biscuit firing. This, of course, on earthenware in China is only the first firing. There are more. Reduced by about 10 to 12% actual size. I don't know what the weight is. I would imagine it's somewhere the same. Not the same. Perhaps we'll go and I'll show you one.
How long is this kiln?
This kiln is 50 of these trucks long. I don't know the actual length in feet, but it contains 50 kiln trucks. At the moment it's on what we call a 60-minute push. So one truck is pushed in every 60 minutes. One truck is taken out every 60 minutes. So it takes 50 hours for one truck from going in to come out. This is ready to come out yet, but you can see the actual heat if you look at the side of the kiln. Watch your eyes. Temperature in there at the moment, this is China we're firing here, China hardware, is around 1230, 1235 centigrade, which is pretty hot. 12.5 times the temperature of boiling water. Yeah.
There's no floor in it, doesn't that affect the heat?
No, because we've got this brickwork here, combined with the brickwork, the design of the brickwork of the truck, forms a seal. Now, besides the brickwork seal, this trough here contains a ceramic grog, which again forms a seal. It's what we call a sand seal. Just see the design of the truck, the edge, the base plate of the truck runs into the sand, so really no heat can get past. If you like, I can show you underneath the kiln.
Yes, please.
Right.
Way. I've got, this is just one of the tunnel kilns. On this side there are another three. The other three are firing earthenware, which is the second firing. So you've got the earthenware which has been biscuit fired, sempin, glazed, dipped, and this is the second firing here, which is fired around 1100 to 1140, depending on the speed of the kiln. The more we increase the speed of the kiln, the more temperature we have to put into compensate for the speed.
Do they ever go wrong?
Yes, frequently.
What happens then? Do you have to stop the whole thing?
Well, I'll give you an example. These kilns here, as with any other tunnel kiln, you can get what we call wrecks or pile-ups. That is, you've got cars going through continuously all the time. If a piece of ware falls off a truck and jams between the seal of the truck, then it can either jam all the trucks, in which case the trucks have got to be opened up and remove that piece of wear, or if one piece of wear falls onto another, it can be just like dominoes, and the what goes over, you know, you could have 3 or 4 trucks down, and then you have to stop the kiln and take it all out.
Does that spoil the wear that's... I mean, what happens if there's a piece of wear right in the middle section and you have to stop the kiln? Would that spoil that wear?
Depending how long you stop the kiln, if you might lose a couple of trucks of wear, in which case it would have to go back, it would be short-fired, it would have to go back and be refired.
I see.
One thing about these particular type of kilns, as with any conventional tunnel kilns, is, as you've noticed, they've got an open floor where you can get underneath them. Most tunnel kilns have got a solid floor and you can't get under. So with these, if we do get a wreck, we can open the cars up from underneath, and with a big bar we can pull down the broken pieces, push them together and start again. Whereas a conventional tunnel kiln, you've got to cool the kiln, someone has got to go in, pull the trucks out, they've got to clear it when it's still very hot, you know, and start all over again. It's just a much better idea. There's not much to see really, you can just see the bases of the cars. Now, this position here, we're right under the firing zone. Above us it's something like about 1230, 1235 centigrade. So you can tell it has a pretty good seal, you're not feeling half that heat. It's probably around about 80 or 90 degrees down here. So the seals are effective. Right. I don't know if there's anything else you want to see. These kilns, say they're pretty long because it goes right from that far wall right the way to that wall there.
Great. Smashing. Thanks very much.
That's lovely. Thanks very much
No.
indeed. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Cheers. See you then. Bye.
Anyway,
Okay, we'll go back up onto the floor.
That was Bob Carl's assistant.
Hello. Sorry about this. I'm more embarrassed than you are. But we thought if we talked out there, then everybody would be listening.
All your mates are getting here.
Sorry about this. I'm more embarrassed than you. I was just saying that if we talked to you out there, everybody would be laughing at us. So we thought it would just be better to have a few words in here. All we really want to know is what, about the jobs that you do.
Yeah.
What is? I mean, it's decorating, is it?
Yeah. Enamelling.
And how do you do that?
I have to make your paint first with fat oil and tubes.
And then what sort of brush do you use?
Well, it just depends. The lining brush. Yeah, the lining brushes, Lining it goes brushes, large or upside down. small.
And how do you? I mean, how do you manage to get it? Because you have to do it in between the lines, don't you?
Yeah.
Is it difficult that?
Yeah, you usually go around after with the brush.
And what,
You know,
clean off the bits that have...
Yeah.
And do you actually put the brush on the plate, or how do you do it?
Well, you have to sort of get a blob on the end of the brush of the paint, and you just sort of use the blob.
So you don't actually
No, you
press
don't.
the...
You don't touch the brush on the plate.
Why did you decide to do it?
I just did.
Did it interest you?
Yeah.
Do you like painting anyway?
I never used to,
I
but
know,
this
I
is
don't paint
enjoyable.
much. It's relaxing, isn't it? Just sitting there, you know,
Makes
do what
you
you
fall
want. Yeah.
What happened the first day that you came? Well, I mean, what were the things that they got you to do?
Training plates mainly.
Training
weren't
plates, we tried like the both patterns, and we didn't have to get the pattern raised at first. That comes to
You
you
just have
naturally
to-
after a while.
So what was... tell me what happened, like if I came to do the job. What time did you have to get... Well, how long have you been here?
I've been here about 5 months.
I've been here 3 months.
Can you remember what the first day was like?
Hectic.
Yeah.
We're rather nervous.
I bet you were. What time did you have to be here?
Have to be up 20 past 8.
And then what happened?
You go to personnel, then they bring you down here. And then you just start you off with the plate, you know, supervisor shows you what to do and she just leaves you to it.
Straight away?
Yeah. They don't want to stand over you watching.
No. Every so often she'll come and mix your paint for you, you know.
And just
But
check
then you
you're
get
doing
used
it
to doing
right.
that yourself.
And did you, I mean, you must have made lots of mistakes at the beginning.
Yeah, well, the first plates don't go in the
Don't
oven,
fire
do
that,
they?
they wash
No,
them off
They
again.
wash them off so they can be used again.
And did you, I mean, how many plates did you do the first day? I mean, do you do one or two, or?
About
Five.
4 or
4 or
5.
5.
And how many do you do now a day?
It just depends, doesn't it?
Depends
what
what mood you're in.
Yeah. If you don't feel like working, I don't think you can.
No.
You know, but I've been in the mood for it today and I've done quite well, you know.
I noticed everybody's got, a lot of people
Oh,
got
yeah.
different, is that, what's that?
Radio.
And that's provided for you, is it?
No.
No, you
No,
bring
you
it,
have to bring your own.
and you have to have an ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you both have them?
I
haven't got one.
Passes the time,
Mm.
looking, you know, listening to the radio.
Do you get bored of it?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially on a Friday afternoon when it's nearly home time.
Everybody's gone, it's really quiet.
Yeah, there's about 10 of us, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know.
What hours do you work?
8:20 till
8:20 till 5.
What's, I mean, it's probably an impossible question. What's the thing you enjoy about it most?
I like just sitting there working on my own, you know, with nobody bothering me. Just getting on with my work.
It's relaxing when you're on your own. We have to have a natter now and again.
Do they mind you talking?
Yeah.
Sometimes, if we make too much noise.
And how often does somebody come round? I mean, is it that lady with the curly hair who's in charge of you?
Yeah, that's Mary, and June's the
June's the
with
one
the grey
who
hair.
mainly
She's our
comes round.
supervisor, and she just comes round and checks that we're doing it okay.
Do you think you'll stay doing it?
I think so.
Yeah,
I like the job.
Did you do any other job before?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I worked in a shop.
School.
Why is it? What's different about it from your point of view? I mean, what's the good things about this as opposed to the good things about working in the shop?
It's more money for a start. I mean, there's a lot of people here, but you meet a lot of people in the shop and all. I'd rather do this. It's more enjoyable. It's not quite as boring.
Have you made a lot of friends since being here?
Yeah.
There's lots of young people, aren't there?
Yeah.
And do they have sort of social things? I mean, do they have social activities? Is
Oh,
there
yeah,
sports?
there's a club, isn't there? Sports club, we have everything there, really, don't we?
Yeah.
And do you go to that?
No,
Not
too far.
Where we come from.
What time do you have to start off in the morning from home?
25 to 7.
I start
I'd
off
be at the
like
house for
25
25 past.
7.
That's supposed to 25 to brings us straight here.
And when you finish your training, will you go on piecework then?
Yeah.
We're on our
We
own
should
then.
do.
How long will that be?
6 months when we started.
Yeah.
You have to do 6 months training.
Between 6 to 8 months, I think it is.
And most of the people who work here, have they always done this?
Don't
Do you
know.
reckon?
No, we don't know.
Don't know.
We know some of them. The woman who sits near me, she's been here 12 years doing the same job.
So it must be all right to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And presume you get different patterns to do you?
Well, there's not many really. There's Runnymede and Florentine, that's all.
And do you mix? You said you mixed your own paint, so the different colours that you have to use.
Yeah.
There's a dark blue and
Turquoise.
turquoise.
And do the paints have to be exactly the same all the time? I mean,
Well, I think the blue's more easy to paint with than the turquoise.
Yeah.
It just depends what, you know, different people
Seems
like
to
the
mix
different
up better.
paint. Dries
Better
up a lot quicker though,
consistency.
doesn't it?
It does,
You know,
yeah.
in the heat, when it's hot, it dries up.
smashing well. Thanks so much.
Okay.
I can't think
Great,
of
thanks a lot.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
Hope we haven't been too embarrassing for you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hope they leave you
Bye-bye.
in peace when you get back there. That was Susan and Carol, trainee anemours.